Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our March 13th meeting of the Select Board. I'll call this meeting to order at 7:02. If everybody could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I always say that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will start with public comment. Is anyone here for public comment this evening? Nope. Okay. Then we will move on to governmental reports, and Lori's here to talk about the Stevens estate.
So I can't cast.
And it's really a very picture-filled presentation.
Do we want to move?
I'm trying to email it to all of you right now, or add it to the thing.
Do you want?
So you at least can see.
Okay.
Can no
Do you
one
want to?
I can't.
Yeah, why don't we
Want to move on and see if we
and
can?
then come
Okay.
back to me and I'll see. Thank you.
Melissa? Your microphone.
Oh, Lori. Okay.
One who's talking.
All right. So we'll move. We'll come back. We'll come back to item A. So then we'll move into licensing. So I'll take a motion to move into licensing.
So,
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Over to you.
Thank you. We're in licensing, and thank you for indulging this bit of parliamentary procedure. I guess I'll take a motion to open the public hearing. Right, is that what you're doing?
Yep. I move that the select board, acting as licensing chair, open the meeting of the public hearing regarding the revoking of the license of the North Andover restaurant doing business as Rolf's.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The matter, thank you, the matter has been resolved. Taxes have been paid, and we need to take no action on this. So, the shortest licensing commission in history. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And we have no other items on licensing, so I will take a motion to close.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, that was silly. All right. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to new business, and we are going to vote to accept the town meeting warrant articles for the May 14th, 2024 town meeting and refer the zoning articles to planning.
So we have 28 articles. We have sent you, I believe, a packet. It seems like a very nice agenda. We're very excited about that. There are only 2 zoning articles this year, and then there's 3 straight acceptances that need to be sent. Planning board is having their public hearing next Thursday on the budget, and we're moving right along.
Excellent. All right, I'll take a motion.
I'll move that the select board accept the warrant articles and refer the zoning articles and the street acceptance petitions to the planning board for recommendation.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments or discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to item B, which is to approve and sign the historic preservation restriction for 419 Johnson Street.
And Christina's here to talk to you a little bit about that. This has to do with the CPC.
Barn.
So this is something that you may be seeing more of, and what really triggered it is the fact that you have your CPC funds going to a third party. The goal is going to be that when that happens, to have more of these historic preservation restrictions recorded for probably a closed period of time.
For a closed period of time?
Right.
But-
So this one isn't. This one is not going to be a permanent restriction.
So what are the details of it? What does it restrict, and when does it take effect, and when does it last until, and
It.
who's requesting it?
So this was something that was worked out with the applicant and members of the the chair of the CPC, myself, and And it's really, again, designed to capture the fact that you're having CPC funds go to a private project, and at least for a finite period of time, they would have to comply with the preservation restriction.
Why is it a finite period of time and not forever?
Well, I mean, like in this particular case, some of them are intended to be forever. I think that, in fairness to the applicants, they weren't necessarily anticipating that this was going to happen, and so there was quite a lot of back and forth about this. They are somebody, as you all know, that comes before the CPC frequently, and there are other changes that, other things that are going to be happening with applicants also moving forward. So, like better signage that will be agreed upon at the beginning of the process this year, when we enter into before any of these that are approved go to town meeting. There will be grant agreements that will be in place. Because there are instances that we encountered even from this last batch that were approved last year, where it goes to town meeting, it passes, everything passed, but then when you go to enter into an agreement, there's no longer an exact, meeting of the minds. So this is something, having a historic preservation restriction is something that is recommended by the state that oversees this process, I think as part of best practices. They also recognize that you may have some historic deed restrictions that are permanent, and others that are just for a period of time. And you would usually see that, I think, in instances where there might not be a large sum of money that was granted. In this particular case, part of the concern was if they were to ever sell this, it might make it difficult selling it with a permanent restriction. As far as the monies that go towards the outside, those are intended to be permanent.
Was a 20-year term that they agreed to?
That's what's in the document here.
20-year term.
Yep. Yep.
And
So-
we have had trouble with some of the other applicants, and that's why this is the first one that you've had come before you, because we have not been able to come to terms on a lot of the other CPC items from last year.
Right, and I will say that even though there was a lot of back and forth on this, they were great. They were great to deal with, and they, I think, recognize that these things are being done for reasons that they fully support, which is historic preservation.
So could we put all this CPC money into this barn 20 years from now, the historic preservation restriction lifts, and they can tear it down?
Yep.
Yes.
And they can sell it and,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah,
That seems wrong.
So I remember this meeting distinctly when we discussed it, and when John Simons brought up because the applicant hadn't proposed a historic preservation restriction. John brought up and said, wait a second, we should be doing this. Standard of practice. We We even put it on the Historic Society building, which should be redundant, but we still place it on there legally. And $205,000, with the whole approach of the application was about historic preservation. I believe the intent is for forever. That's what historic preservation is all about. Now, I understand that 20 more years on a barn that is as old as this, maybe something will happen in the interim anyway, I don't know. But I would probably have some reservations about limiting it, because the whole point was to preserve a dairy barn that there are very few left in town, and in 21 years, this one could be gone.
So do we want to table this and invite the CPC chair to come in to have a conversation?
Yeah.
Does that make the most sense?
Is there a
I'm
process?
not comfortable with this.
Is there a process to undo, so sometime in the next 20 years, if there is some decision that they want to do something else with the space, how do you can we undo the conservation? So restrictions.
Like you have to
So-
go through an act of Congress. I mean,
Okay.
not Congress, but
Yeah,
the state.
but it's not,
Yeah, you have to
it's
go
not easy to undo. I mean, I'm just sort of looking at both sides
Yeah.
of this, like,
This was designed really to, to preserve the historic features of the barn. And,
For 20 years.
well, the concern about
It
the
is.
20 years and the balance, I think, that has to be considered in some of these projects is that if it becomes too burdensome, you might not have groups or individuals wanting to take the risk of forever being responsible for maintaining an older building that requires a lot. What's preserved in this particular case are the exterior features of the dairy barn, of which there are very few. When I was working on this, I actually had an opportunity to reach out to one of the individuals who had grown up on the farm, and have also had discussions with Bill Callahan and the manager and with Dee about as we move forward, having some sort of a process of also being able to preserve and record some of these stories and some of the photographs associated with private property such as this barn.
It's interesting that this is a 1920 to 1950 building, right? Because when you think of historical, but now, I mean, I think anything before 1960, right, is historical.
Well,
Yeah.
Cakes are 50 years old.
Yeah, it's just
They need to
interesting.
be 50 years
Right.
old
Yeah.
to be considered an
For
antique.
the
And there's-
historic society put essentially put a note to it saying, yes, we deem it historic, but it was a requirement of the funding from CPC in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's actually, the foundation of this is much older. Apparently, there was a barn when there was a previous owner, and that, I think, burned. And so when,
This is like the second.
the second owners came in, and it was part of a dairy farm, but also they raised horses.
Can we get a permanent restriction on the foundation? Okay, yeah, I mean,
I think we should table it and we should have,
Yeah, I think
Chair
it's really hard.
Callahan
I mean,
come in
I
and
can
have a
understand
conversation.
private owner not wanting historic preservation on it because it would restrict them, but now that we've got town funding going into it.
that's why these
Yeah,
are tricky
that
situations,
becomes
right?
tricky.
The private, yeah.
and a big part of the debate too was not having public access to the building, which is not likely going to happen as part of this, and we're preserving the exterior.
So we could request what we need to give them 2 weeks' notice to tour the building.
Yeah, we had conversations about the access. The original, the early drafts did have it as a permanent, but it is not unprecedented by any means in terms of the CPC materials from the state, where it's actually not at all uncommon that these deed restrictions will have a finite period of time, depending on the type of grant that was awarded. Yeah.
Well, because I think the intention too is to get more funding,
Yeah.
right, for it.
Probably.
I think that they did, I think they
They talked about.
talked about that, if I
Wanting
remember
more.
correctly. So that gets tricky, yeah.
Yeah, they were doing, from these conversations, they were doing a lot of work on the interior, which is good, because that's going to, again, help preserve and stabilize this building for the future. And then this was aimed at preserving and keeping these key features of a dairy barn. The roof, the narrow windows that run along the back, and things of that nature.
All right. So we
We'll
can
make Bill.
table this and have CPC in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Christine.
Sure thing.
Appreciate it.
Yep, yep.
All right, so we'll move to item C, which is to vote to surplus the police vehicles 2018 and 19 Dodge Chargers.
Thank you. So these will also go on, we're not using Munibid, we're using a different same type of site, but we have a new one whose name leaves me right now, that actually comes out and does all the photography themselves and takes nicer pictures, so they're more likely to sell for a little bit more money than when we take them. We do currently have $55,000 in that revolving account. That has been pretty successful. If I remember correctly, before we were just turning cars in. Now we are selling them online. We've sold a lot of vehicles, actually, and we've actually sold some dirt bikes. And all the money goes back into that account and then is used for new vehicles for our different departments. So.
Excellent. I'll take a motion.
I'll move the select board surplus vehicles number 305 and number 313, which shall be sold at auction.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'm actually surprised we actually have vehicles that have been sold.
Yeah.
Don't we have some, I mean, I read in the paper the Adamson's Industry article that says they were currently outfitting some vehicles for North Andover, so when do those go into service?
So we do. We purchase 3 a year. But it's cyclically every year. But it had, and we had a couple of vehicles that were damaged this year, so we actually are getting, I think, 5 instead of 3. The wait on them has been very long, and so we've had a as you know, so that's why we've actually had to buy like all different models over the last couple of years. And so these ones should be in within the next couple of months, and then it takes about a month to build them out and letter them.
Nice.
We moved the chairs, put the light bar in, and everything else. So. Yeah, so it'll be nice to get the new ones in, and we've done a good job historically of getting them every 3 years. So you're right; these are kind of interestingly older. What I assume is these probably were handed down to like the detectives after they're used for a while on the front line. And if you haven't been by the police department, the carport is pretty much finished.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so there's a little bit of paving left to do, but they're very excited and arguing over who's going to park in there when it snows. But it looks really good. And thank you to Laurie and Steve and John Borghese and John Bonanno, who've done a really good job on getting that going. But yeah, they were very excited to give us. We got a tour of it this week.
yeah.
Yes, so all 3 walls, so all of them.
Is there use for that, for bringing people into, no?
No, it's actually for the police vehicles, first respond vehicles, so that they don't have snow on them, so they can get right out, and so the cars don't get damaged. Yeah.
Because what he was saying, that I was told that they would be an enclosed building.
So we do have an enclosed sally port where if you, we do have an enclosed sally port. So if we have an arrest all the time with the dog, that's where I pulled in to get the dog out. It's the only time I've been in the sally port, one time, and that was to get the dog out, but in my own car, in the front seat. But they have, yes, they do. We do have a sally port where we do have for prisoners and transportation. So this really is just parking. A lot of communities end up eventually putting solar on it. Ours is built into that hill, so I don't know if we'll actually be able to do that. There was possible, anything's possible. There was some conversation about eventually building a bay onto that and using it to right now, if we have a vehicle that we need to do like a good search on, we often do it at the airport because we have that space so nothing is like getting out of your area. But that just wasn't in the funding this time, so right now we've got the carport.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I guess I should have asked this before, but the money that's going into the revolving account goes towards new vehicles.
New vehicles only,
Right,
yes.
yeah. All right, we'll move on to item, we're going to go on to consent items, and we're going to accept donations from our sports teams for the new Rexflex. And that's $21,360 from the Soccer Association, $9,500 from the Boosters, and $3,000 from lacrosse.
You have a giant thermometer somewhere?
We should. I'll take a
move the select
motion.
board accept all donations.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you for that from our sports teams. And then we have open session minutes from February 27th, 2024. Has everybody had a chance to look at those?
Madam Chair, I move approval of the open session minutes from February 27th, 2024.
I will second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Hmm? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Is Lori,
I think she's trying to
she's
get it
working.
figured out.
She's
yeah.
still working. All right, so any select board updates?
Yeah, we're almost up to adjournment.
I know.
Nothing here.
No? Nothing to talk about? We have the election coming up in 2 weeks.
It feels like we have a constant
Constant
hamster wheel of election. Yes.
We had an election. The primary went really well, right?
We did, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
primary went really well.
We do have a recount in a lot of different communities. That will be happening on Monday. Monday, yep. So I think there's 8 or 9
We're
communities.
conducting a recount here?
Yeah, it's just 2 precincts. So that's happening with this election because we can't end this one. It's not a new one. We gotta just keep going.
Keep it going.
Yep.
Constance, you know, election?
Mm-hmm.
So they suggested I set up a Google Meet, and he'll
Oh.
cast it, because
Okay,
you can't,
that works. That's a
I
great
emailed
idea.
IT and they said you can't always cast in here. So they use the cable, but the cable's bent, so
The cable doesn't work.
it's bent.
Ah.
Someone stepped on it.
What you said earlier.
Tripped on it, I got pulled up.
We've got Chief Grace Award. Just continue. We're going to talk about that for a long time. We're just going to keep talking about
Was he
that.
thoroughly embarrassed?
It was a great day.
Every picture,
Yes.
he was cringing.
Yeah, he was like,
When I started to sing Happy Birthday.
Oh my gosh.
That really did it. That
I
day.
knew it was his birthday, I didn't realize
Yeah.
they started to sing.
Yep.
It was funny.
Laura, if you want to just email, I'll share mine.
I did email it,
Oh, okay.
but are you able to, that's okay, I just
No,
did
but I
the,
could share it with Rosemary if she doesn't have
oh,
it.
she has a copy,
Oh, okay.
don't you? Have
I
a copy of the presentation?
Oh, okay. I thought you were more concerned about the pictures.
So if we all have it, why don't we
You
just-
say I do, I
Yeah.
should.
You're
you
gonna
can
show
just
it
say,
at
okay,
home?
next slide, next slide, next slide, we all got
I
it.
got it. Thank you.
We're ready.
All right, let me just set up the Google
Oh,
Meet.
it can't be shared at home, it can't be
Yeah, I'll
shared.
have to hold it up.
You can hold it up. And everybody
Big
just
fan of
say-
light.
In my North Andover colors.
Yes.
Once it gets going, it's okay. It's just a little slow to start.
Tonight I didn't tell you to do a quick meeting. Every time you do, I curse myself.
I think that works. Oh, so he is gonna get it up on here.
I keep trying and it's just like yells at me every time.
Amazing
Here we go.
transformation.
It is amazing.
Amazing.
All right, Laura, look at that.
So, I'm sharing my screen, why is it not? Is it
Why
just
is it
taking a
not?
minute?
Try again.
I'm sharing my screen.
Are you in the wrong tab?
Yeah, did you have to share that window?
Okay. So I stop sharing.
I missed the select board meeting room.
That's just presenting your profile.
Yeah, funny.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Watch it be a black screen again. It is.
Yep, it is.
Okay, well,
We're all just gonna look at it from home.
We all
let's-
have
Yeah,
it is
You're good.
online,
It
it's
is
in the
online.
packet,
So people
so.
can access it.
We're good, Bill, don't worry, we're
It's
just gonna
fine,
do it.
thank you. We're gonna, maybe it'll come up.
Yep.
Okay, so it is part of the packet. It's not linked to the agenda, but the file that has all the files for the agenda, it's in there.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
okay. So really it is some wonderful pictures that they gave us. of the gatehouse, the renovations that were done. It is now occupied by their groundskeeper. So the first slide with the pictures, they're all before and after. You can see that they did the new light and recessed cans in the staircase, removed plaster on the walls to make it smooth again, polished the existing stained woodwork and refinished the existing floors and stairs. So that's all on the entryway. In the living room, you can see the fireplace. They cleaned and lined the fireplace chimney, added a gas insert, refinished the flooring throughout the house, repaired holes in the flooring, painted throughout the house, replaced ceiling fan, addressed and repaired water damage, roof and chimney masonry repaired, and then did the new electrical service. They upgraded the electrical for the entire house, and then installed Cat-Fi cable and new Wi-Fi router in the basement. I'm gonna get out of this meeting because I'm echoing here, so let's just shut that off. Oh, can we stop sharing? You can end the Google Meet.
Oh, you just exit the meeting. Oh.
I did exit the meeting. They have to exit the meeting. Oh no, that's the cue. Okay.
That was more fun.
Okay. So the next slide, you can see the before and the after the kitchen, and really everyone at home should go take a look at these because it's incredible. It's amazing. They're beautiful. They did such a beautiful job on this.
And it's really close to period and things like that.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Yep. We did, have a member of the historical commission come through and let us know exactly what needed to remain, what could be changed. So in the kitchen, they covered the old fireplace opening to create a new wall for stove and cabinets, new gas stove and microwave, removed the existing laminate and formica cabinetry, installed new wood-based cabinets and upper cabinets with granite countertops and nickel hardware, removed the vinyl flooring and refinished the existing wood floors, which was nice. There was the wood under it. Yeah. They added a pendant light and some recessed can lights and then painted throughout in the kitchen. And then the next slide shows some more of the kitchen where they relocated the sink, added a dishwasher, and then have all new stainless steel appliances, and they also put a washer and dryer in the basement. Then you see the pantry, which also it's so nice. They removed the laminate and formica cabinetry, eliminated the second sink, installed new wood-based cabinets and upper cabinets with granite countertops and nickel hardware, added a pendant light and insulated the exterior stone walls.
And of course the floors too.
Yeah, yep. And you can see the difference, how beautiful the bathroom looks. Moved the shower alcove back to allow for a proper walkway in the bathroom. So the bathroom was not handicap accessible. They needed to widen it a little bit. So they replaced the vinyl flooring with ceramic tile mosaic, replaced the tub and the fixtures, installed all new plumbing, and then they have the tile enclosure. And again, you can see more of the bathroom here. The upstairs hallway, the finished floors again. They had to repair the roof and the damaged walls and ceiling. They painted the existing woodwork, added recessed lights throughout, and refinished the flooring and installed shelving in the hall closet. And then this is one of the bedrooms upstairs. They painted, again, the woodwork to brighten the space. They removed the existing broken light fixtures, added recessed lighting, and refinished the flooring. In the before picture, you see that those light fixtures that are on the wall that they removed. We did save those. Those are preserved, so those weren't thrown away or anything.
What will we do with them?
Not sure yet. It's just the wiring wouldn't allow them to use it, so they could actually just probably put them somewhere as like a fake light, but we wanted to make sure we held on to them. And this is the other bedroom upstairs, which again, you can see how the fireplace was, so they painted the existing woodwork again, and it's actually a wood stove enclosure, added the lighting and refinished the flooring. And the third bedroom, pretty much the same, added the lighting, refinished the flooring, and painted all the existing woodwork to brighten up the space a little bit. So that was all the fun stuff. And then this lists the expenses by building. So all of those renovations cost $182,257.23. It was funded through revenue from the Stevens estate, so the town didn't put any capital funds in there. The main house boiler was done this year. It was, and the hot water heater was replaced, so both of those items were pretty expensive. It was $161,763, but now they have a, working boiler, which they didn't, and hot water heater, yeah.
Wasn't that budgeted? They knew that
That
coming,
was,
right?
yeah, that was actually budgeted. It took a while for that project, but that was budgeted a couple years ago.
Do they have to replace all the plumbing?
A significant amount of the plumbing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
National Grid had to do a lot of work before
Yeah,
we could
because that-
move forward.
That number is a little shocking, but if you have to
It is
replace
shocking.
everything.
Yeah, no, they did. They had to replace a lot, so, and it's working and they have heat.
Heat's important.
And it's the main house, which
Yeah.
they need, more than, well, until someone moved into the gatehouse, they really don't need heat. They didn't need heat at the other buildings, but, so the stables, which we're all used to calling the carriage house, so far, we've just been working on getting it closed up and stabilized. And then the last thing that we've spent this year was they are installing cameras and a gate at the front of the driveway. So they have had some issues with kids going up, doing donuts, things like that, after hours, after dark. So the trails are closed at dusk. So they're gonna there used to be a gate up at the driveway, so we're just gonna replace the gate at the driveway, and so that people won't have access. And since someone's living in the gatehouse, he'll be opening the gate at dawn and closing it at dusk. And then what we have on the horizon is, again, our focus right now is to stabilize the stables. There is mold in there, has to be removed. We're working on that right now, getting some prices. We did go out to bid for it. It was much, much higher than our budget, so now we're trying to figure out if we can just rip the walls out that have the mold on it. And because it's going to be gutted eventually, at least, a majority of it will be gutted. So we're looking at if we can just gut those areas now, so that we can get rid of that. The roof replacement, we just got bids in for that. They are all on budget, which is nice. We should be entering a contract with that vendor in the next couple of weeks and hopefully start as soon as possible, because once we get the roof fixed and the mold out, and the other thing is to put a vapor barrier in the bottom floor where it's all dirt, like I call it the basement, but it's really just a crawl space. We should be able to tighten it up enough to stop the water from coming in. And then after that, we'll be able to work on the masonry, which we did a CPC application to do the masonry. So hopefully we get the roof done. Any holes, like any broken windows, broken windows are usually covered right away once we notice them. But once we get the roof done, the mold out, we'll be ready, hopefully, July 1st, CPC will fund the masonry. We'll start that right away. And once all that happens, I'm told that it should be pretty tight and we shouldn't have the issues. And then the next thing after this that they would like, and we agree, is that they need to do something about the drainage and the lighting for the driveway. And that's going to be a huge expense. So we'll probably try to do a design for the drainage and then figure it out from there. But that's probably going to be at least a 2 to 3 year thing.
Is the situation erosion along the side of the driveway? Is that?
Yeah, it's
Exacerbated
eroded,
by the
and
summer.
there's no lights, really. I mean, it's very dark, so it'd be nice if they would like to, they've actually talked to DPW about putting trees in. So they'd like to be able to, put some trees in there, fix the erosion, get the lights, get lights along it so that, you know, you can see when you're driving there. That's what I said. I said, we have trees, we have a tree budget, but, yeah, so it's exciting. I think that, you know, everything's coming along great. They had a great year.
$40,000 over.
So, yeah, we got an additional $40,000, which will help with these repairs, and, you know, they,
Does emergency management still use the garage there?
No.
When they're out?
no.
So what's that garage used for? It's just empty?
They use it, so they have their snow blower in there and whatever else, the lawn mowers, because they do all their own groundskeeping.
Okay.
And that's the intended use, once it's all stabilized, is for them to use it for like all their equipment.
Oh, no, he was talking about the garage is
Oh,
something
I'm
different. The garage is next to the stables.
Okay, sorry.
No, they are open, well, Mass Audubon, hopefully, with the programming. They're really open to discussions about, you know, what it's gonna be used for, whether it's gonna be an income generating property for, you know, rental space for meetings, or, you know, if we wanted to have some programs there, it all depends. But again, that's probably 5 or 6 years down the road, because
All this work.
we have to do all this work.
Yeah.
exciting.
That's very exciting, though.
Yeah, it is.
And there's money to do these projects, which is nice.
Yeah, it's really nice.
It's amazing how much has been accomplished in only
A
2
short
In a
years.
short time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They've done a great job, and so has Laurie and the team that's been working on it. A lot of progress.
yeah, they've done a really good, they're very good stewards of the property.
Mhm.
You know, and the design and the decorative stuff is really to period. It's beautiful.
Mm.
It's just beautiful.
And having the groundkeeper has made a big difference
I'm
with them
sure.
too, because a couple of times before the boiler was replaced, when it didn't have heat, they were on site, and so wasn't like it would sit overnight before we would find out, so.
Right.
It's been
Right.
a really big help.
And the gatehouse actually flooded,
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
during the
right.
storm.
so, I mean, it was good that,
He was there.
it's unfortunate that they were in there. They didn't lose anything, but
Mhm.
it did have to have, we had an expense that we didn't anticipate, because we had to put new
Right.
pumps in there in the basement, just to make sure it doesn't flood again, so.
Is there anything at the main house that they anticipate coming up, or are they pretty settled there for now?
Well, right now, they're pretty settled. Little things here and there, they're replacing a door, you
Mhm.
know, that's letting water in. But for the most part, they really want to concentrate on the driveway and the lighting, and then they'll probably move on to the second floor of the house, to the rooms that they haven't done, because I think they only did I think they only did the bridal room and the
They
groom's room.
wallpapered them all now, and
Yeah.
painted them all.
Yeah, but yeah,
They've done well.
Done a lot of work.
they've done a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
And Asia, who did the entire gatehouse, is amazing.
Mm.
She's really got a good eye for, she loves the historic
Yeah.
pieces, and
I'm actually surprised the number was as low as it was. That was for that much work.
She's
It seemed-
good.
Yeah, really, really
So
good.
now who lives there? There's some, like a security person or?
yeah, it's their groundskeeper.
Groundskeeper.
Yep,
Does he have a family that lives there too? or
he
is it-
he does. I believe he has one child.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Regarding the gate.
We used to have someone that lived there
Mhm.
a long time ago.
Yes.
Regarding the gate, what are the hours that the gate is open? Sorry if that was mentioned earlier, I missed it.
Is it-
Summer.
Dawn to dusk.
Dawn to
It's-
dusk.
Yeah,
They close at
it's
dawn.
open.
And
We've
then
had-
obviously
Well,
they have an
not-
event.
Right, okay.
Right, or if they
Right.
have an event, it's gonna be open, but just normal hours for anyone to be up at the town-owned part of that, you know, the property for the
Yeah,
trails.
The pre-work hikers and all
Yeah.
that stuff, is it open early enough for them?
As soon as it gets late.
As soon, yeah,
Okay.
We've had issues historically with chairs disappearing and ending up in the woods. Yeah, we've had quite a few, even after fire started kicking over, had EME call with people just kind of loitering under the tent. And so we had put it on the police department's watch list, but, you know, it's to the point where
That's the nighttime end of things, I assume,
Yes.
right? No, that- really,
we
okay.
need to close things up a little.
yeah. So hopefully the gate will help, and like I said, they're putting some cameras up there too, which I think will help
Mhm.
deter people anyway, at least the kids.
Zooming right on their license plate.
Mhm.
And some people's whole, their father says, will you walk with us?
Can't do anything anymore.
You don't want to know what we did up there.
No. Well, it looks beautiful.
It does.
does.
They've
It
done,
looks
they've done a
great.
fantastic job, and they're really good to work with. too.
Yeah.
So.
That's amazing. So much for all of you who have worked with them, because it's fun. It's a labor of love, but it is fun.
It is fun.
Yeah. Nice to see it being restored to it
Yeah.
the way it should be.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Laurie, for giving us an update. We appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry, you're welcome. Sorry about the technical.
No worries, no worries.
Worth the wait.
So I think we're on town manager update.
I think I told you about the chief, that was very exciting, I'll keep saying it. And then, as you know, we did have a homicide in town this week, and I'm very proud of the police department, working with the DA's office, and having an arrest within 30 hours, being aided by our new cameras is really pretty amazing. And
24 hours is amazing.
it's unbelievable, so we're just thrilled, and they did a really wonderful job, so.
Also, the cameras played into
The cameras played a huge role, yes.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
Very, very sad.
It's very sad.
It's just a sad state of affairs. It's just very sad.
Absolutely. But it does appear to be an isolated event between people who knew each other. So, but it was really, we were very impressed with how quickly they acted, and we're very lucky to have such a good police force.
Yeah.
I assume the answer will be the investigation is ongoing. Do you know if it took place here? The incident took place here, or if it was?
I don't know if the DA's released that yet.
Okay. Well,
I'm not sure.
curious. Yeah. Okay.
That's an interesting point, because I've thought about that, because it depends on which town it gets credited to.
Yeah,
So
that's-
we-
yeah.
I think it's going to be ours, but I don't know. I don't know if the DA released
Okay.
any more information yet.
And not, yeah, at the end of the day, if it doesn't matter, it's still a sad
Mm-hmm.
situation. So.
And,
Yeah.
the poor family.
All right, our next meeting is March 25th at 7 PM in the Select Board room. And our town election is the next day, March 26th. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to just say happy St. Patrick's
Oh,
Day.
yeah.
to all those who celebrate, and everyone's a little Irish on one thing.
That's right, that's right.
Just have
I'm guessing
fun,
you've
be
got a
safe.
bright green jacket, don't you? I'm sure you-
Yes, I do.
So there.
Dick has his tie on.
Yeah, I know. I almost wore my jacket today. I thought, oh, don't rush it.
Christine, you are.
You need a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion, I don't have a second. All those in
I have two
favor?
up there.
All right.